Today on Drawbli, we are drawing.
Finding beauty in the mundane.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm drawing, of
Ben's
course.
drawing.
But hey, click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
And comment below with other ideas of what we can draw to improve on our artistic journey.
So Abby had this prompt idea a while ago of finding beauty in the mundane. And she's already done her drawing on that. So here is my work and attempt on that. Starting off with some very simple primitive shapes. Very mundane.
Wow.
So I was just trying to do this from my head. 3 point?
Three point, that's cool.
A little bit. Obviously the perspective is not very good, but either way.
Very good.
Either way, what I wanted to talk about here with my mundane drawings a little bit was the idea of not caring at all about the final result for your drawing. I think a lot of people get very caught up in the end result of drawing when they are learning, and my attitude and mentality with that could not be further from that general idea. I know, and here's some hands. I made some hands as well. So I tried to do like a lot of boring primitive shapes. I actually spent too long on that, and then I started to make some hands. But my whole mentality with drawing and art and learning new things is not about the finished thing that I create. I could genuinely care less about what my finished hand drawing looks like here. I am much more interested in the process and steps that I took and learned to get to that point. So for me, like the thing that's really cool about art, the beauty in the mundanity of it all is the process. I genuinely love that about art. I love the process, and I really think that for a lot of people, they don't love the process. And I think it's something that some people have to learn. I think when I started out, I definitely wasn't just immediately, in love with creating art. I was extremely new to it. It was extremely hard. There's points of frustration, but I think with enough time and the right attitude, you can learn to love the sometimes painful process. So that's kind of where my beauty in the mundane kind of falls for in terms of category.
No, I can definitely relate to that. Like for me, for example, some pieces I've done recently, I've just kind of scrapped the idea of having my fundamental forms be perfect, because that's just not what I'm trying to focus on right then. I really want to work on my lines or my representation of form. And does the whole drawing then end up looking a little wonky for me? Yeah, but because the end result is built on these kind of imperfect building blocks. But yeah, it's totally a comfortable place at this point. Yeah,
so I mean, as you continue to improve, and as people in general continue to improve at something, eventually you will get to a point where you feel like you have more skill and or ability to kind of push on something and maybe create a piece that you are more proud of. But for these things that I'm doing for Drawbli, for pretty much all of them, I'm just I'm not too worried. I don't care if it looks horrible. I don't care if it looks bad, because that's not my goal. My goal is never to, make this one thing, this one piece as beautiful and perfect as I can, because I know that where I'm at right now, I can't do that to the ability that I want. So it's all about that hour count, putting in that time, learning these new skills, learning these new abilities.
Make this thing, make the next thing.
But I will say, here at the end, after these hands, I do go in and I paint something of a very mundane subject matter, and I do try to make that a little more beautiful. I do try to find.
Well, I'm excited to see it, and I think your hands are really good, by the way.
Thank you.
Proportionally,
they were tough.
Yeah.
Especially this last one, the perspective on it was very difficult, and I can't remember exactly what I did to correct it. I might have took my lines and slapped them over top of my hand, and I was like, whoa,
oh my gosh,
time to fix all this as much as
there you go. You're
I'm oh no. But yeah, I think a lot of people get caught up, because art is exactly that. It's a very visual medium, and if the end result isn't up to what you were expecting necessarily, I think that can be like a really hard thing for a lot of people.
Yeah,
but,
very frustrating.
You know, getting to the point where I don't want to say like you don't care anymore, but in some regards, like you're not worried about it.
Oh yeah, no. It's, you know, I think a lot of our analogies relate to climbing, but like if I haven't been able to go Boulder for a few weeks and I come back and I'm like not able to climb the stuff I was before, I don't worry about it. I'm just where I'm at right then.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that.
I love your hands.
Here are my blue hands. I used some blue.
Yeah.
I don't remember why. But
favorite one for me is definitely the one you worked really hard on with the perspective. I like them all really. Actually, they're all really good. But the top two are probably like a couple of my favorites.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are really good. These are really good.
And now for some more mundanity, a
That's
coffee
your
cup.
stuff. Following your hands with your stuff.
Yes, I was at the local uni and stopped into the Starbucks there and grabbed myself an iced coffee and started to do some painting. So
they gave you a smiley face. Did you see that?
I did see that. Yeah, I did notice the smiley face. In fact, I painted it. Yeah, I had the smiley face in there. So, you know, my goal with this one was to take like a very mundane subject and try to add a little bit of my own flair, own beauty in there.
Yeah,
So.
what I like about this image a lot is all the lines pointing, all like kind of angling towards the left. Everything's kind of pointing to one point, if you will.
There's a lot
left.
of perspective, and then it kind of gets contrasted with the perspective up top. You can see up there. So I actually, after doing my rough sketch, I very quickly just did another rough sketch over top of my image, just to like throw that over on the other side. And I was like, I do want to, because I wanted the general proportions and perspective to be really solid.
Absolutely.
Because if it wasn't, I knew that anything I did on top of that wasn't going to be very good.
If you were a working professional in the industry, you would do the same
Oh,
thing.
no, 100%. Yeah. Like if you were working on a painting for a client and they were like, hey, I want this random image of a coffee cup painted. This is what I need. And you're like, okay, yeah, of course. You're going to take the time to use whatever tools are available to you. So yeah, I just kind of go in. I start off by sampling some colors, as we've talked about before. But then after a little while, I start going in with some more crazy colors and really start pushing finding that beauty, as we like to say.
Part of my brain, like the part that is not rational, expects the level of the coffee cup to go down throughout this drawing as if it's like a still video. And then to see more chaos in your artwork as you get more and more caffeinated, like from the coffee.
I wish I could have done that. Yeah, I could have continually painted over and fixed my level of coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I'm still kind of working on figuring out my general process for tackling a painting. I think we constantly bounce back and forth between all of our fundamentals where we're like, yeah, I'm going to work on like drawing. I'm going to work on lines. And now I'm going to work on values. And it's like, well, you know, there's such a large variety in fundamentals. Like the difference between working on shape versus working on line, it's, you know, similar, but they're still very different categories.
That part can get really overwhelming when I sit down to try to practice drawing, to the point where, like we were talking about, sometimes it's just better to throw out a couple of the fundamentals, not worry about them, and just worry about a couple different ones.
Or just worry about one, like really have a singular focus. This was an example of where I actually wasn't focusing on any fundamental. I just, you know, have all the skills at my disposal that we've learned up to this point, and I'm trying to make an image that, you know, I'm, you know, relatively proud of, something that I enjoy, and something that I could look at the end of the drawing and say, hey, I enjoy this, I like this.
I already like it.
Well, it gets a lot better. It's on its way. It's going somewhere. So yeah, I start putting in some pretty crazy colors. You know me, I like to throw in those super saturated fun colors.
I like how you do that. You like scribble them in, they look so extreme, and then you fade them out and you're like, oh, I love that. It just looks so, it gives such vibrancy to your work, but in the moment it looks so chaotic.
Yeah, the skin is a really good example of where you have like a lot of color noise in the texture of your skin, where, or like maybe something like a plant, you like, if you were to look at a leaf, you'd be like, that's green, that's a green leaf. But if you were to photograph that leaf and then sample the color, that color would like vary quite a lot through all sorts of different greens. There's no one green that you could pick out. So what I enjoy about this process is that it kind of, you know, gets some of that color variation in there. And by fading it out, it's not, you know, if you squint or blur your eyes, you still see like the main colors, but like those little splotches of red, blue, yellow, green, etc., you know, whatever I'm throwing in there, just add like some fun.
Yeah, it was really good for that metal window ledge too, where it's blue right there.
And with blue on one side and a little yellow on the other from the sunlight.
The blue side looks so like reflective here.
Yeah, adds a fun quality to it.
I like that a lot. And the coffee is looking really good. I like the way you can just be so free here with scribbling in the marker parts.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it like being accurate or anything like that. I was just trying to get in some of it, you know, more the idea of the writing, as Abby loves to say in all of her drawings and paintings.
My favorite cop-out. How long do you think by now you've spent on this work at this point in the drawing?
Oh gosh, I actually don't know how long I spent on this. I should look it up. I'll look it up and I'll put it down in the description.
Oh,
it couldn't have been more than 2 hours though.
Wow.
I think, maybe like a little over an hour. But the last thing I do here at the end is I do a contrast pass where you just saw me do a light pass where I bump up the light values where the sun is hitting. And now I'm doing the same thing with some shadowed areas. In both of those, I fade out to like maybe 10%. Here I throw in some random just splotches of texture, very low resolution. And another thing I do is throw some noise, some blurring, some other stuff for the background to really like bring it out of focus.
Yeah, that's so fun. I like
there.
how just free you are with all that stuff, you know? There's so much you can do and you do it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it was like, here the painting is, quote, done, but now I'm just going to add, like, whatever fun stuff I can throw on here at the end to try to
even
push
the
on it a
white
little
letters
further.
on the cup. That's cool.
Yeah, they're, like, just kind of sketched in roughly and quickly, just to have a little extra detail there on the cup. Trying to incorporate that idea of high detail areas are, like, the focal point. So obviously the coffee cup here is the focal point. The background's a little more blurry, faded out.
Watching you work so freely is so interesting without like a specific goal in mind of what you want to practice. I feel like there's already so much you know, and it's all like it really shines here with what you're able to do, you know, with this digital medium. Like, look at that. That's awesome. With just that shading pass you added there, I think that was really cool. And this light you're gonna add here, I feel like I'm learning a lot just watching. It's so fun because my light and shading passes, I try to copy you because I think you're great. They're so timid compared to you just big, huge, dark areas, light areas. You're fading them out.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can always like fade them out in the end, or you can even delete it entirely. You can just put it on a new layer. It's good to experiment.
Your workflow
that
is
way.
Fascinating.
But thank you. I hopefully fascinating in a good way.
This is awesome.
But there is my beautiful, or maybe not so beautiful, coffee cup.
Beautiful. I love it with the sunglasses.
It's mundane. It has beauty found in it.
I think it's amazing, and you should be very proud. Good job.
Well, thank you. Can we put this one on the fridge?
We can.
Awesome. Well, hey, click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
And comment below with ideas of other things we can do to improve at our art.
And this is the part where we mundanely say
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
So mundane. Now I want some coffee. Again, we just had coffee.
We just had coffee. You cannot have more coffee.
I had hot coffee, and I want iced coffee.
It is hot out.
Yes.
That's fair.
Hand me that water.
That was in the recording.
Yay!